Hi, I'm Brad with Big Family Homestead, and today's video is really awesome. I'm going to show you how to make homemade chicken broth that's going to be delicious and is going to save you a ton of money. So let's get cooking. Alright, so today's mission is to make a lot of chicken broth. We've got a really big family, 7 kids, and so that translates to lots and lots of chicken broth gets used, whether it's soups or gravies or whatever. So today, we're actually going to be making what will translate into 14 quarts of broth that we will can. Now, we're going to can that in a different video, but I'm going to show you how we make the broth today. And now, this is really cool. First of all, what it costs us to make this broth is so cheap, it's kind of silly. We raise our own chickens, so when we process those birds, we actually keep the carcasses. We'll throw them in the deep freezer, and that way, throughout the year when we need to make fresh broth, we pull out 3 carcasses, get all of our ingredients together, and we'll make 14 quarts worth of broth that will last us a good long bit. Now, that, believe it or not, since we have our own chickens and we have our own carcasses, the total cost of us to make 14 quarts of chicken broth is only $4. Yeah, carrots, onions, celery, that's it. But now if you look and see how much it costs, you know, for a quart of broth that's okay, it's $4. That is $54. We are saving literally $50 by making our own broth. And not only is it the money, but it's knowing what's in there. There's no MSG, no funky chemicals. I'm getting ready to show you the ingredients. There's nothing in there that is going to be anything except awesome. So now you say, Brad, I don't raise my own chickens. I don't have these carcasses laying around. So, well, what do? Well, the first thing I say is, why aren't you raising chickens? Anyway, that's a whole other subject. But if you don't have the carcasses, you can actually go to your butcher at your grocery store and ask them to either purchase them, or most of the time they'll just let you have them because they throw them in a bin anyway. But if they make you purchase them, they're only going to be $1 or $2 for the carcass with still a lot of good meat on it. So even if you don't raise your own birds, you're only talking about the total cost of 14 quarts of broth being right around $8. That's a no-brainer. And you know what's in it. The chemicals are not there. It's good for you. So whether you raise your chickens or not, this is still a must-do recipe. All right, so what we have here is we've got our chicken carcasses that we saved. We've got 1 pound of carrots. We've got 2 heads of celery, rough cut, 2 onions. We've got 1/2 cup of salt and about a tablespoon of black pepper. And we're gonna actually fill up our canner, what we're gonna cook in, because it's a nice big pot, with 16 quarts of water. And I say 16 because we're gonna end up with 14 quarts, but we've got to have a little bit in there for evaporation. And so here we go. You are not gonna believe how easy it is to do this recipe. All you literally do is put your ingredients all in there, get that thing boiling, and then turn it down to a simmer, and you just let it sit overnight so that all those flavors marry. So basically, here we go. In go your chicken carcasses. We use 3 chicken carcasses for this amount of broth. You can adjust to maybe a little less or a little more, but we really like the very bold chicken flavor, so we go for the 3. Now watch, boom, veggies in. We are almost ready to start cooking. Salt and pepper in. And now 16 quarts of water. Okay, so I finally got this thing boiling. It took almost a half hour to get it up to speed, but I just set this lid on here. It's for safety precaution kind of thing, just to set it on there. Now we're gonna let this simmer. We're gonna turn our temperature down and let it simmer pretty much overnight. We'll come back tomorrow and show you, but all we really have to do at that point is strain it off, and then we're either going to can it, freeze it, or use it. But for our purposes, we're gonna can it, but that's a separate video. Oh, one final thing too, just a safety tip. We have little kids running around our house, and my wife insists on putting the canner on the back burner just in case somebody were to come by and reach up and grab it or whatever, since it's gonna be going so long. So just one little safety tip. Okay, one more tip, and that is basically when we make broth, we make a ton of it. So if you've got half the recipe because you just frankly don't need as much broth, or your pot is not as big, we use the big old 23 quart canner to actually make it in. So if you have to half the recipe or whatever you gotta do, just adjust accordingly. And also too, just a side note, we are gonna be making a separate video on how to can this broth once it's done. This is completely separate from, you could take this and use it as, freeze it if you want to, but the only way that's safe to deal with broth in terms of wanting to put it on your shelf, you cannot use a water bath. It has to be pressure canned, but that will be in a separate video. But like I said, if you don't want to can it, or for whatever reason, you can freeze this and use it. But for us, we like to have it shelf stable, so it's ready just to pull off the shelf and throw together a quick soup or whatever we need to use it for, whether it's gravy. But the only way you can put that on the shelf like that is if it's pressure canned. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and let this thing simmer overnight. We're gonna let it go, let it do its thing, get all those flavors yummy, yummy, happy, and I will come back and show you what we've got tomorrow. So for now, see you later. Okay, through the modern miracle of video editing, it's all ready tomorrow. We've let this sit here and simmer for just about 12 hours, and now all we really have to do is take out all the solids, take out the bones, take out all the, well, everything that's in there, and strain that liquid off, and then we will be able to jar up our broth for use or freezing or canning. And so I'm going to show you what we got, and there you have it. Okay, so I'm just going to open this guy up. Whenever you're doing this, always make sure that you open away from yourself so the steam can get out and you don't burn yourself. But look at that deliciousness. Oh my. I wish you could smell this. It smells like Thanksgiving here. Wow, that is nice, and that is going to be rich, amazing broth. So cheap, no chemicals, and well, I'm gonna get it strained up and I'm gonna show you what it looks like in a jar. Okay, so I've got the broth all strained off, the bones are out, pulled all the meat off. We can make some awesome chicken salad with the little bits that were left on there, but that's for another day. I've got this strained off, and there we go, chicken broth. No chemicals, awesome, cheap, cheap, cheap. And well, we're actually gonna go ahead and can ours, but that's for another video and another day. So there you have it, amazing, no chemical broth, chicken broth for your family for so cheap. I mean, for us having the carcasses, it costs $4. If you need to acquire the carcasses, all of that broth is only gonna cost you $8. So if you like the video, please do click like and subscribe. It honestly helps our family out, and you have yourself an amazing day.